Hey everyone, my name is Olivia, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about animals. So you may not know this, but you can use animals in the characters that you are playing, and it can be very helpful for really finding out who your character is and making choices about posture or about how they live within the world. So I chose a animal for my character for my second monologue. And this monologue comes from the play In the Next Room, or The Vibrator Play by Sarah Rule. So, a brief description about what this play is about. So, In the Next Room takes place in the 1800s when electricity has just been invented. And my character is Mrs. Givings. Mrs. Givings is the wife of Dr. Givings. Dr. Givings has his treatment room in his home. And how he is treating his patients is with the help of electricity. And he invented a vibrator to help cure his patients. And one of his patients is Mrs. Dowry, and he diagnosed her with hysteria and congestion of the womb. So he uses the vibrator on Mrs. Dowry to help treat her, and she comes out every session. He does this daily, and she comes out every session as a brand new woman. He also treats Leo Irving's, and he uses the vibrator on him as well. And again, he comes out a brand new person after his sessions. So this makes Mrs. Givings a little jealous because she just had a baby and she's not able to breastfeed her baby. And so she hires the help of Elizabeth, who is a wet nurse. And Elizabeth is able to be a wet nurse because she recently lost her infant child. And that makes Mrs. Givings jealous as well because this person is able to feed her baby while the mother, is not able to. So when I was going through picking a animal for Mrs. Givings, I got my inspiration from the Chinese zodiac. So I was going through all the animals I had listed, and one of them was a rat. And I read a few of the characteristics, and I was like, oh my god, this is so Mrs. Givings. So rats, according to the Chinese zodiac, they are very jealous, they are very talkative, which she is. They are very friendly, they are hard on themselves, they are energetic, which she is, and we get a lot of these characteristics we literally see within the text. Usually she will say, she'll say something along the lines of, everyone, anyone I come in contact to is not shy around me, I'm so energetic, blah, blah, blah. And so the rat is very much Mrs. Givings. So when we think of a rat, we think of them kind of just being they really are just one long spine. So they have the same shape throughout their whole entire body. And it's kind of that hunchbacked shape, right, all throughout their body. So when we think of a rat, they move around the world very fast. So there's our energetic, and so I chose a rat. So I chose a rat instead of a mouse. Because mice are very, very fast, and I didn't want to make her neurotic, because if I were to do a mouse, she'd be like, she's not that, she doesn't need to be in a psych ward or anything like that. So I chose a rat because they are fast, but they're not speedy quick, if that makes sense. So anyway, so think about a rat. We think that they move around the world, sniffing everything. Their whiskers are a big part of their their big sensory receptors. Their whiskers are, and they smell. And when they're not walking on their hands or their feet, they either have them up here to eat, or if they're holding something, or if they're grooming themselves. I just took my headband off. If they're grooming themselves, they have their hands very close to their face if they are not walking. So another thing about rats, which you might not, notice at first, they are very flexible. So in order for a rat to hide, they have to get in these tiny little bitty holes so they can move throughout the world almost snake-like, But I'm very fast, very quick, around the world like snakes. So when putting a rat who does this and grooming themselves, we take that into a person, we have to think, first off, again, this was in the 1800s, so these women are wearing corsets. So she's not able to be as flexible as a rat everywhere, but looking at her shoulder a little bit, her shoulder's a little bit of mobility and keep all of this pretty much stiff. So she wouldn't be loose like right here in the waist, but more like up here. She can be loose, right? And then I would put her hands up here most of the time, almost like she's like when she's talking, or she's like, oh, dear, what was that? Sticking her neck out, you know, sticking her nose into things it shouldn't be because she's jealous and she's curious about what's going on in that treatment room, right? And when she's talking, you know, she might be talking a little like, you know, rats have that kind of like, they're very fast, so they're prey animals as well, so they're always on the lookout. So, but not too neurotic to where it's like, ugh, you know, but, so I would put her hands up here, and then I would have her looking around, sticking her nose and everything. Maybe like she's smelling something, but just very curious. And, so in one of the texts, she's rambling on to Elizabeth about asking basically Elizabeth like what she named the baby who passed, and whether if she named the baby earlier would it have been more difficult, since she basically Mrs. Gibbings says things at really inappropriate times because her brain is moving so fast, and she has word vomit, for lack of a better phrase. She's got word vomit. But she stops herself, like in this text that I'm talking about, she says, oh, I'm sorry, she's like, death just makes me just ramble on, huh? Oh, I'm sorry, I'll stop talking now, you know? So she catches herself, but, so if I feel like in that moment, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll stop talking now. You know what I mean? And then in my monologue, she says something inappropriate to Elizabeth again, and she says, Elizabeth, do you want more children? Oh, that was a tactless question. You don't need to answer. Forgive me. Sometimes I just say whatever is in my head. I want more children. You know, so she goes from like, like word vomit to, oh no, that was the wrong thing to say. Okay. And then, you know, so I would keep her hands up here. I would keep her constantly curious, sticking her nose into everything. And when she has her rambling on sessions, I'll just kind of be like, you know what I mean? So I feel like this very rat-like, and maybe she can, so I'd maybe give her like just a little like twitch and everything, like, oh. So yeah, that's why I gave the animal of the rat to Mrs. Gibbings. So thank you so much.